Alright, so let's go through these answers, darlings.
Okay, I only got one, unfortunately.
Only got one?
Three.
Alright, so number 3 across, mythological creature found in Shesti 3. A griffin, very well done. That is a Griffin, griffin. Number 5 across, a painting or decoration on a wall. Frieze, very good.
I didn't even get the one that I got right.
Okay, that is an Frieze. Number 7 across, a lustral something was found in Shesti 3, which is thought to have been used for ritual purposes. Basin, very good. Basin. Basin. Just remember the sort of thing that you wash your hands in the actual bathroom, okay?
Lustral is in shiny.
It was a shiny basin.
It's a shiny boy. Number 8 across. S and N something are key to our understanding of Thera with their theories. Marinatos. That is Marinatos.
So spell it again?
Marinatos.
Okay.
Can anyone remember what their actual names are?
Spiridos and Ninora.
Yeah.
Ninora.
Ninora, Nonna. Okay. Sounds like Nan to me, but that's different. Okay. Number 10 across. Name given to houses in Akrotiri based on their construction using ashlar masonry. Shesti. Okay. That's Xeste. Shesti.
Oh, so it's not pronounced this.
Honestly, darling, I'm actually not too sure how it's pronounced. I'm just taking a guess. Okay, normally when we have X in English or in the English languages, it's sh like that. So I'm taking a guess.
That is this.
Yeah.
Like lemon zest.
Down, number 1, a type of masonry in which rectangular, smoothly dressed blocks of stone are laid in regular courses. Ashlar. Very good. Ashlar. Shesti 2, 3 and 4 are thought to be something which N. Marinatos believes are similar to Minoan palaces. Mansions, very good. Okay, and we learn a lot about the palaces when we go into Minoans on year 12. Okay, they're very important. Shesti 3 lies within sector Gamma, very good. Lead archaeologist of Minoan society, Arthur Evans, very good, Evans. The Cyclades are found in the Aegean Sea. Very well done, girls, very well done.
Oh, not very well done.
I can't spell it in Aegyes.
Yes, sorry, I didn't hear you. Alright, so girls, what we are doing today, okay, is we are doing the Akrotiri overview and the role of women. Now, let's see.
Wow, so you've really gone above and beyond.
How do I turn that one?
But still,
middle
you
one?
went above and beyond.
That's weird.
What do you mean? That makes sense.
Well, the middle one, it goes off in a way that you've not. Oh, this is a second switch over there, that's why.
Lights.
Alright, so
Illuma.
we are looking at a general overview of Akrotiri, okay, and also the women in Thera. Now, women in Thera have a very, very special difference compared to the rest of the ancient world, and there's a lot of different theories about how we look at women in Thera. Okay, can somebody tell me what's a bit different about women in Thera?
They're either equal or higher up than men.
So we've seen a lot of theories where we think they might have been either equal or higher up in the chain. Okay? Does anybody know what it's called when a society is ruled by women? A matriarchy. Okay? Its opposite being a patriarchy. Okay? So we have ideas that the Minoan society, and by extension Theran society, might have been something close to a matriarchy. Okay? So, let's have a look at the layout. Okay, now the remains present a network of streets and alleys clustered around squares. The narrow roadways were suited to a town without vehicles, but allowed access for packed animals. So, your Akrotiri streetscape would have actually been quite closely packed together. Okay? You're sort of looking at a closed-in version of a modern city. Streets and roads would have been quite narrow, okay? And you're not expecting very, very large carts to come through, but maybe a couple of donkeys here and there carrying goods, okay? Because remember, donkeys are the pack animals at this time. Horses are expensive, but donkeys not so much, okay? Now, these streets are based around these squares. What do you think those squares might have been? What's that, sorry?
Blocks of houses or markets.
Yeah, blocks of houses, markets, okay. What did we call those gathering places in Rome? Starts with an F.
Friends.
Forums. Forums, okay. It's possible that these square places in the Minoans, these empty squares, might have been gathering places for the Minoan culture on Thera. Okay. So let's have a look, okay? So this is a representation of Akrotiri, okay? You can see here it's actually not real, it's constructed, okay? And we can see that it goes down the middle here. We can see this is sort of like the main street. And it blocks off, okay? Now,
It looks like the bombed areas of Lebanon.
looks like bombed areas of Lebanon. Well, that's a bit
I was
depressing.
there, so
Fair enough. Okay? Now, what's interesting about this one?
it's got 3 doorways to the same room.
It's got 3 doorways to the same room. Good pickup. What else? Chunky, yeah. You're probably the wrong terminology, but the correct idea. It's quite big, isn't it? Okay? It's big. It's got multiple rooms. Okay? It's got evidence of what? What type of architecture? S word for it. Yeah, it's got an evidence of sophisticated architecture.
So it's so sophisticated, it has 3 doorways.
You've got to think,
1 doorway to
this,
What do you mean?
what's the rest of Europe doing at this time?
Kind of fun with the wearings.
Yeah, they've got like a little hut, okay?
Oh,
And it
yeah.
got like, whoa, a fire,
Yeah.
okay?
With a hole in the roof.
Yeah,
Well, they
what-
don't put the hole in,
Yeah.
it'll suffocate.
who would have thought that you could block the rain out of your house by putting a roof on it? No way,
Well, that's
okay?
wild.
These guys are advanced for their age, okay? What do you think that bottom left one might be? A mansion, well done, okay? One of our chesties, okay? Now, let's have a look at the actual buildings, okay? So we have large palatial and impressive mansions. What does palatial mean?
Palace-like?
Yes! Well done, okay? Always, always, always try and use your English rules, okay? So it means palace-like, okay? Because what are we trying to compare them to?
Other societies.
Not even another society, same society,
Different times.
the palaces in Crete, okay? So we are saying that these chesties are palatial-like, okay? And they're impressive mansions, okay? So we have different chesties. We have chesty 3, we have chesty 4, 5, 2, okay? And we are saying that number 2, number 3, and number 4 are the most impressive. And you can see it here. They're quite complex, okay, compared to the other houses. Look at these ones. They tend to be very small rooms, not really connected up, okay? We have multi-story independent houses. And these are the West House and the House of the Ladies, okay? So the House of the Ladies being here, and the West House. Okay? Now keep in mind, houses often get their names by the frescoes or friezes that are in them, okay? Or simply by their geographic position. Now keep in mind the West House Because the West House for us is very, very important. That's going to form the basis of a large part of our case study. Okay? But for today, we're going to be focusing mostly on Shesti 3. Where in the cardinal points is Shesti 3 in terms of Akrotiri?
Okay, what on the east?
West.
South. Southwest. Okay?
So where are we finding again in the case study? Or was I read that number?
No. It would be southwest because that's west, so southwest.
Yes.
Yes. What was your question?
What are we focusing again in the case study? I missed that part.
West House.
West End.
Okay? We have irregular building blocks around block B and block D delta. Okay? So these ones we're not too sure what to be, and we're going to investigate those later on as well.
They're probably shops.
It's very, very, very light. Okay? So the palatial mansions, what do we know about them? Well, we know that most of them are situated in the southern end of town. Okay? Now, if they're all situated in one end of town, what does that tell you?
Richer area.
Could be a richer area, absolutely. Could be evidence of a social hierarchy in the terms of the town. We know that in terms of our own cities, we have rich areas. Okay, so you know that if you go to Bella Vista, you go, oh, I'm going to meet some rich people folks around here. Okay, or at least some middle class people. Yeah, some rich people folks, okay? English, not
When you
good.
come to Western Sydney,
Okay?
you meet everybody else.
Yeah, the good people. Now, the palatial mansions, they had at least 2 stories or 3. Okay? Now, the fact that they're able to build on top of each other as well is another evidence of architectural sophistication. Okay? Can anybody remember what was the specific thing that Minoan's houses had that made us go, ooh, quite sophisticated? The staircases and lattices, the wooden beams. Okay? We have interconnected rooms with partitioning. What's partitioning mean?
They were separated with doorways.
Separated with doorways and walls. Very good. Okay? Public purpose related to religious gatherings or rituals. These are where the lustral basins come in. Okay? And we think that this is a really big theory for the mansions. We think that these mansions would have been used by the public. They wouldn't have just been used by specific rich people or owned by a specific rich person, but they were in fact public buildings.
So if you were homeless, you go there.
No, it's nothing to do with that way. It's about using them for rituals.
Oh, okay.
Okay? In some ways, they'd be mini temples. That's what we think. Okay? So think about it this way. The best way I can explain it is when you go into a mosque. Okay? What's in it before you go into the prayer room?
The basin.
Exactly right, the washing stations.
Yeah.
Okay, because you've got to wash yourself before you pray.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Same ideas.
Got it. So the lustral basins are so they can do wudu.
Yes,
So they were
that's what we think they might have been for. Yes.
Okay. So they were Muslim.
Yes, of course, they were Muslim, yes. A couple of thousand years before it came about, but yes. Okay? Now, these lustral basins, and I want us to get both names in our heads, are called adatons. Okay? Yes, I'm saying that wrong. No, I'm not going to find out how it's actually pronounced. Okay? Now, these adatons are made by a guy called the Marinatos. Okay? He's the one that comes up with the theory. Thank you, darling. And his idea is that they're washing pits, they're used for religious purposes, and that they are used by the priests and priestesses, which is important, okay, because we're saying it's different, okay? Now, if you're not getting all of this down, don't worry. At the end of this lesson, PowerPoint will go up, okay? I think I actually might have. No, I haven't put it up yet, okay? So let's actually have a look at what these lustral basins are. Okay?
I'm not showing you.
Well, a couple of thousand years old, mate. Come on. Okay?
Can we bring it up?
Can we? You can see here, girls, that we have an incline leading towards the basins. Okay, so this is found in Shesti 3. We have a pit, like a bath or a pool, that would have obviously been filled with water. And we think that people would have cleaned themselves here for religious purposes before they went to worship. Okay? Keep in mind, this is theory. And one of the annoying things about this lesson today is we're going to be going through quite a lot of theories and a lot of people basically disregarding each other's theories. Okay? Because ancient history is a bit vexing like that, it's a bit confusing.
So
Okay.
do we get to pick our own theory?
You can pick whatever you want.
So like in the exam, let's say they say, what do you think of this?
You can pick your own theory in the exam, you just have to support it. Okay? Now,
Oh.
when we're looking at these palatial mansions, okay, we have here the ashlar masonry that sets them apart from other buildings. So we can see here that the masonry, these big blocks placed upon each other, it's quite neat, it's quite precise, okay? And it means that they actually put in quite a lot of effort into these buildings. Effort signifies what?
Significance.
Yeah, effort signifies significance or importance.
So they were evolved enough at this point.
Oh yeah, very well evolved. Okay? Okay, so if we're seeing this sort of effort put into it, we're going, they must have thought this building was significant in some way and that it merited its importance and its effort put into it. Now, this has many parallels with Minoan and Mycenaean architecture. Can anybody remember who the Mycenaeans are again?
Jews that didn't like the Minoans.
Arabs.
Definitely didn't like them, no. Greeks, yeah.
Greeks. But Greeks, Arabs, and
Where do Minoans come in the picture? Where do Mycenaeans come in the picture?
Didn't they take over the island after the volcano had erupted?
Which island?
Thera?
Not Thera? Crete. Good go. Okay?
right.
Mycenaeans are the ones that eventually kill off the Minoan culture. After Thera goes bang bang, okay? Tidal wave hits Crete. Minoan civilization goes into decline, this is what we think. Mycenaeans pick up the pieces and kill the rest of it and take them over. Okay? So the Mycenaeans have a lot to do with Minoan architecture because they're inspired by them. When they take them over, they take a lot of their stuff. Okay?
The Greeks did it better.
Mycenaeans, Greeks, Minoans, some would say Greek.
Arabs.
Anything that's of importance is definitely Arabs, okay?
Yes. Thanks.
Alright, so Shesti 3, okay? So what are these Shestis? Okay, they're masonry made of large, square-cut stones used as a facing on walls of brick or stone rubble. Okay? Now you saw in your reading from last time that Shesti and Ashlar are pretty much the same thing. Okay? The difference is that Shesti is the Greek word for it. So when we say Shesti, it doesn't actually mean something like palace. When we say Shesti 3, Shesti 2, we're basically just saying this building has been made of Shesti or the Ashlar method, and we just call them Shesti 1, Shesti 2 for short. Okay, because we don't want to outright call them a palace. Make sense?
Yeah.
Wunderbar.
What does one?
Wunderbar means wonderful.
In Italian?
No, German, no.
Oh.
Okay? So, let's have a look at these. Okay, so we can see here that it's all the blocks placed on top of each other.
And cement.
Okay? Cement, or I
Well,
wouldn't
stone
go
rubble.
cement. Okay, cement doesn't come around to the Roman Empire.
Stone rubble and water.
Exactly. And like that.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's how you make them.
Now, this is your typical building work. Okay, this is found in sector beta. And this is your Ashlar or Gestes building. Oh. Okay, and this is the plan of Shesti number 3. And this is the one that we will be looking at largely today. Now, most of today is looking at this section here. Okay, that's our important section. Because you can see there, it's got the lustral basin in it. Now, we had a brief look at the lustral basin just then, but we're going to be really focusing on the walls around the lustral basin today. Okay, but you can see here, it spreads out quite a bit, and it's quite a big house slash mansion slash palace. Okay, whatever we want to determine it is. You can also see here, what's that meant to represent? Stairways, which would indicate
And the double story.
double story, and it might have a triple story on top of it.
Ooh.
Okay.
Double story house. Obviously we
Now, let's have a look at our sort of common facts and theories regarding Shesti 3 before we dive straight into it. Okay? First of all, it's the second largest building in Akrotiri. Okay? It has the highest concentration of wall paintings in the town. So when we walk into Shesti 3, we're definitely going to find a lot of stuff all around on the walls. Okay? It is the only house that we've found so far with an Adaton or lustral basin. And to me that is significant, because it's the only one that we found. There's two things that might be said about that. What might be said about that?
Ceremonious or wealthy.
Sorry?
Ceremonial or wealthy.
So it could be ceremonial, okay, which could mean that this place was very, very, very special.
It could be the religious center of the island.
Could be the religious centre of the island, absolutely.
There's only one of it and it's unique for a reason.
It's unique for a reason, okay? And all of our sort of ideas about it being a common religious practice might be called into question, okay? Because a lot of these theories are going, oh, it was just common religious practice, they definitely did it all round. But we've only found one. Sort of throws a bit of it into doubt. Now we could say it might be a specific religious practice related to a specific cult or sect. But to me, I look at that and I go, it doesn't mean that it's very commonplace. Okay? Now the wall paintings depict women performing various tasks, and with their proximity to the Adaton, they are thought to depict some form of female initiation. Who knows what an initiation is? Yep.
Entering a religion or a new stage of a religion.
Entering a religion or a new stage of a religion. Very well done. Okay? It can just be, it doesn't always have to be new religion. It can be a societal group, or it can just be a circle. Okay? But you are exactly right. It's that sort of entering the next stage of whatever it is. Okay.
Because when I saw female initiation, I was thinking more like, coming of age.
And it could very well be, which is what we'll discuss as well, a coming of age. Okay? When we think of coming of age for females, what are we thinking of?
Puberty.
Puberty, yes.
Marriage.
Marriage,
Stupid society.
childbirth, okay? Let's be honest, girls. I know we're all women here. Yeah, me too. Okay, but let's be honest. What's the real coming of age? Yeah, and periods and things like that, the menstrual cycle begins. Okay? So we think that this Shesti and the paintings all around this lustral basin might have a lot with this sort of female coming of age and female initiation. Okay? Now what I want, darling, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, okay? This is the drawn version of the frescoes that are all over Shesti 3 in the lustral basin room. I'll give you 2 minutes. I want you to just have a look at it and see what you're seeing, okay? And if you can, write down a dot point about what you think is happening in this room. we're actually going to go through it all. I'll tell you exactly what she means. She's just put one step ahead, that's all. Alright, so, tell me. There's no wrong answers here because we've only done a couple of 100 years of research on it.
Okay, so
Go on,
somebody's paying tribute to that kind of queen figure.
Yep.
And based on like the animalistic and kind of natural symbolism around them, it's very likely a religious thing, and it's probably similar to ancient Egypt where the royal was kind of interlinked with the gods and nature, blah blah. The woman all seemed to be working rather, I wouldn't say tiresome jobs, but not stereotypically women jobs. And down the bottom, I couldn't quite figure it out, but it seems like either a dance or instructions on how to do something.
Not too bad of an interpretation.
Yeah.
Sanguine, what do you reckon?
It looked like they're dancing.
It does look like they're dancing, okay? I'm glad that you've picked that up because there's a couple of theories saying that they are dancing.
Up at the top, it looks like a lot of the women are carrying like buckets of water.
Yep. I'm assuming you're meaning these ones?
Yeah.
Yep.
But what I think is happening is the woman that's sitting on that barrel or something is the one being at the top.
Yes, yes.
She's probably the one being initiated or having her coming of age ritual.
Okay, yeah.
And it might be like they literally just clean you if you're having your first period.
It's not a bad idea, okay?
They
Because
could actually.
if we're looking, because remember, do you remember, what did the Minoans have in terms of cleanliness that not many ancient people did?
A drainage system.
Drainage system, sanitation system, okay? So your idea that they're cleaning her because she's just begun her menstrual cycle for the first time, it's not exactly that radical because we're looking at a society that obviously does value some form of cleanliness, and obviously you'd want to be clean once that starts, okay? And we're not living in the age of modern tampons and pads, okay? So things are going to get a bit primitive. Good idea. I love them all, girls. They're really good interpretations, okay? Now the one that we have up here, okay, which is commonly called the mistress of animals, okay, that was a really nice interpretation. So you've basically realised, oh, she's sitting a bit higher up. She looks like she's important, therefore she must be either some sort of regal, queen, something like figure, or maybe religious figure, okay?
What's that thing that's behind her?
You want to guess?
Griffin?
Okay?
The other one a monkey.
Or does it look like a dog?
Yes! And you have a monkey here.
I couldn't figure out what the
Yeah,
monkey was.
I thought it was a
supposed to be.
navel that was like faceless, and I was like, oh, no, it's a tail.
Monkeys, are they native to Greece?
No.
What would that indicate then?
Multiculturalism.
Multiculturalism or
Foreign expedition.
foreign expedition, okay? We are seeing foreign ideas and foreign concepts being brought into Thera. What idea would this support Thera being?
A trade hub.
A trade hub, well done. Okay? Because you're not getting monkeys naturally in Thera. Okay? Even the idea of the griffin, where does the idea of the griffin come from?
Greece.
No.
Oh,
No.
Arab.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
It's Mesopotamian.
Ah, okay, I should have known.
Okay? Babylonian, Assyrian. Okay? We are looking at these convergence of foreign ideas here. Okay? So let's actually have a look at some of these. Now we're going to be looking at something called the wounded woman.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I like that you picked up that you thought she was dancing, but it's not that incorrect. Okay? Now,
Closer to ankle.
before we continue, let's have a look at this one specific thing. Okay? And this is called saffron.
This is how you make rice yellow.
It's how you make rice yellow. Well done. Okay? Now, saffron is a spice derived from the saffron crocus flower. Okay, that thing there. It was widely regarded as a great tool in the ancient world, used to, number one, treat a variety of illnesses, such as depression and urinary tract infections. Okay? This thing was sort of like, the word is a panacea. Okay, it does have some medicinal qualities, okay? Probably not for everything that they were trying to use it for, but it is a herbal remedy, okay? And it's used in some medicines nowadays. But these guys obviously knew, they went, well, it's fixed this, so it's obviously medicine, maybe it can fix this and this as well, okay? It's used as a perfume, makeup, and aphrodisiac, okay? It can also be used to dye clothes. What dyes do you think it makes? Yeah, and? Purple. Okay, it's often called fake purple because it's not sort of the real thing.
Yeah, only Phoenician purple is real.
That's right. And it is seemingly integral to the Theran economy. What does integral mean?
Water.
Very important, necessary. If you take away saffron, it looks like you're going to be taking away half their economy. Okay? Because these guys are growing it all, and they're probably going to be selling it.
Cash crop, cash.
It's a cash crop, exactly right.
Money.
Okay? So for example, let's note all of these little saffron crocuses on the
1,
fresco,
2, 3,
okay?
4, 5, 6,
Boom,
7,
boom.
8, 9,
Boom, boom, boom,
10,
boom,
11,
boom,
12,
boom,
13,
boom,
14,
boom.
50. 50. Oh, thank God it's a good number.
Okay?
If it was like 40, I'd be like,
We are seeing a lot of these saffron flowers on this fresco. Okay? So obviously, yes, Dan, what's your question?
Is saffron native to the area?
I believe it was. I believe it was. I can look that up, but I know it's been there for at least 4,000 years. Okay? We know that this fresco has obviously some connection to saffron. Now, whether they are saying it's religiously important or it's just an important part of their daily culture is a different story. But there is definitely something with saffron going on in this story. Okay? So let's have a look at the wounded woman. Okay? Just in case you've forgotten where she is this one here. Okay? Now, lucky me, I got to read a whole bunch of journal articles last night and put together a whole bunch of theories for the wounded woman. Okay? So let's have a look at the lovely ones that I read last night, okay? You want to read it?
yeah, I'm gonna read it.
Go for it.
Theories regarding her. The wounded woman. The central figure is seated on a rocky outcrop, seemingly tending to her injured foot, and is much larger than the other two figures. The purpose depiction of the injury signifies its importance. Anne Marino makes the argument that the wounded woman is evidence for a rite of passage, having occurred within 3 rooms. She references Van Gepep's theory that pain must be part of the rite, and that the rite included collecting saffron barefoot. Emily Simmons, Thinking About Thera, a reinterpretation of the wall painting on Zest 3, Shukrinika.
So let's have a look at probably a bit more detailed picture, because what we're looking at there is the picture of what it actually is. Okay? We're going to have a look at a sort of rebuilt picture.
I think the Minoan trees are my favorite.
Yeah, they're pretty.
So let's have a look at sort of the actual one. Okay? So we know that there's sort of her kneeling down. Okay? She's cut her foot. But what's right next to her foot? Saffron. Okay? We see a saffron crocus right next to her
So
foot.
is the saffron here?
Kitty, well, this is a good question. Okay? Because there's a lot of question about what is this woman actually doing. Okay? So let's have a look at what the other people were saying. Okay? Now, Anne Marinatos, the daughter of S. Marinatos, makes the argument that the injury shows a rite of passage occurred and pain is part of it. And they're all saying this because it's in the same room as the lustral basin. Okay, they're going, obviously this room must have religious connotations, so anything on these frescoes must be something religious. So this sort of cut on the foot, or this sort of pain, must be a religious process. And obviously you have to suffer through something to get something else. It's a sort of initiation. Okay? Now, Rahek suggests that she may be reaching out for the saffron, and the blood streaking down her is menstrual blood, symbolizing her transition into adolescence. It's not a bad idea, Okay, we think it might have something to do with their initiation. Okay, and basically it's depicting this woman who's just been working out in the fields. They would have started young, and basically, unfortunately, she's had her first menstrual cycle. Okay, that's happened.
So
Okay.
in that picture, she's probably like, what? Young, but she's younger
Yeah,
than
okay.
nowadays. See, nowadays,
This
puberty's
is
like
where that theory comes undone.
Yeah.
Chapin, however, believes that the woman is depicted as post-adolescent, and the blood is that of defloration, result that representing an impending marriage. Do I have to explain how you get blood from defloration?
Oh,
No,
no.
No, we're good with that one.
Don't need it.
Fantastic.
Wait, what?
No, don't worry.
Wait, is it like
Or-
lost
When
in
you
time?
have sex for the first time,
Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot about
Hymen
that.
breaks in
And hair scars and
Thank
whatnot.
you, Scotty.
I'm
Sex
so
education
glad I'm
with
not a
Sarah
PE
Michelle
teacher.
Gellar.
You
I
know?
know, I wonder how
Yeah.
much
Okay.
especially.
So, we have this idea, okay, that the blood streaking down her might be from two different things, okay? It might be the menstruation blood, or it might be the defloration blood, okay? And the reason why we don't really see her as the teenager theory generally falls apart because,
She's not a teenager.
well, she's not a teenager.
She's an adult.
How do you know she's an adult?
She's an adult.
The
She
clothing.
looks-
She's an adult.
Just look at her, she looks
Is
like
it
an
the
adult.
hair?
The hair, okay,
Clothes.
The clothing.
clothes,
They're too fancy for each other.
She's
Too
proportions
tall
of
to
her
be a
body
child.
would.
proportions of her body, okay, and that's what I was reading in the journal article last night. If you look at her proportions,
Yeah, can we go?
okay, you get it?
I can't actually see her move.
Yeah, her arms
I'm
are
not.
I'm gonna
So it's the mic. Oh.
Okay,
Oh, poor sir.
it doesn't look like she's pre-adolescent.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I thought that was like a background.
What's your question,
Is
Dale?
that it?
Keep in mind I do have bras.
Is that it?
Yeah, okay. Why is it there? Because remember, you actually might have been away for this lesson. A lot of the Minoan women, their clothing didn't have the tops on it.
Tits out.
Okay.
And I quote your ex-U12 student.
Yeah.
I was gonna do
Thanks for
that.
letting me edit that one. Okay. So we think, because remember what we said. What type of society do we think the Minoans might have been, starting with end? Matriarchal. Okay. And we think that this sort of breast exposure might have signified that a woman was actually higher status. Okay, and that their priestesses or their sort of ruling class would have worn this type of dress. Because remember, completely different way of thinking about breasts and all these sexual objects in ancient times. Breasts would have represented what? Fertility. Okay, so we're looking at this and we're going, okay, she could be a higher class member. Okay, it could be a whole bunch of things.
She's wearing makeup, so.
Okay, she is wearing makeup.
So that's usually a higher class thing. That's not a low class. Yeah, and
Makeup,
Like, now it's
jewelry,
common, but like
okay,
back
we're seeing a higher class thing.
Didn't women get their periods later? I mean, in
No,
life.
earlier.
Like,
Do you mean would they have gone through the menstrual cycle like later on in life? Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, didn't it start
No,
later?
earlier.
Oh.
Like, we're getting less, like,
Earlier than
younger and
nowadays.
younger.
Yes, sorry, I know what you're referring to. You're referring to the theory that women are starting the menstruation cycle earlier and earlier in the modern
Yeah.
age. Yes.
Wait, is
Yeah?
that a theory?
Yes.
Or,
Oh, I thought it was later.
Yeah. Sorry.
is that a theory or fact?
That's
Or-
I believe there's a lot of evidence for that theory.
Why are you evolving like that?
Sir,
Ask
about
me,
the
teacher.
woman, if her foot was actually like injured, would there be any significance that it was her foot and not like any other part of her body?
This is also another question. Okay, I think I saw one of the best theories I saw for this was she has literally just cut her foot while gathering saffron.
Yeah.
There was someone just going, "Why are you all trying to build something out of this?" She's just cut her foot while gathering saffron.
But it can't
You
be that-
guys are all dirty and trying to think of something.
So, but it can't be that because these were expensive to make. You wouldn't
These-
just make it to depict someone hurting themselves.
And that's the other thing. Why would you just pick that? Now, some people argue because saffron was so important to the theory and economy and culture that they wanted to actually depict people just going through this daily event and saying like this is really, really important
But
to
then
us.
why would they bother with making the woman the focus in the first half of it?
That's a good question. Okay?
It's kind of like a peel and advertisement.
It's like a
You put
reel,
useless
they don't
things
Oh.
together. Buy things.
I'm so sorry, girls. I was meant to give you a sheet while you were doing this.
Oh, and so I've been writing my book this whole time.
Yeah, my apologies. This is just to write dot points with, darlings.
So these are my favourite fish temp diagram books.
Oh, I hate those so much.
I love these. These are great. They're great because they make me see professional.
Try not to feed me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then because she's going towards the door of the bullhorns and bullhorns of masculinity and marriage and all of that.
You can take two because I'm not bothered to separate them.
Cheers, sir.
That's alright. So, sorry, I was meant to give you that before. That was just the dot points of what we were going through. Okay? You don't have to write every dot point here. This is just for you to break down stuff and memorize. Okay? Alright, so the next one that we're going to is the horns of consecration. Okay? Now, Risha said this, and some of you went, what the hell's that? Okay? Now, adorants, that is people who adore something, or people who worship something. Okay? And we think that these people might have been adorants or adorants. Okay? Appear to be making their way to this structure. It is largely thought to be a shrine or altar, which the adorants are participating in a pilgrimage to. Also, what's this?
Wooden
Wooden.
There's the basin.
Wait,
Okay.
wait, so is the basin just a sink that's the size of a room?
Yeah. Well, it's not the size of the room.
So
The room
this
extends.
that whole room is the basin.
It's like
It's not the whole room. The room
That
extends
little
further out
square.
there. This is just one corner of
It
it.
can probably
So what
fit
part-
like 4 people in
So
it.
it's like a really big bathtub.
Yeah.
Ah, so then don't tell me I'm washing my hands. Tell me it's a bathtub.
So, we think that these people here might be on their way to this altar. Okay? Now,
But there's
how
no
do we
ground.
know it's an altar?
There's no ground. It's not an altar.
What do you mean there's no ground?
Where are you gonna stand? In front of it.
That is a building, those are doors.
Yeah, but how are you gonna get there? There's
It's
no
a
ground.
drawing.
It's a
of-
drawing, mate! Doesn't mean that this isn't comic book land. They're not going to get into the actual picture.
Drawing shrine.
Okay, that's a wall. It's just
Okay?
So there's a floor there.
Yes, that's the basin.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the horns of consecration, according to Arthur Evans, represent the horns of the bull, a seemingly sacred animal in Minoan culture. We know that the Minoans like their bulls. Okay? Evans postulated, he thought, that this, of course, must mean that anywhere these horns appear must be a sacred place.
Doesn't the bull represent masculinity as
Yeah,
well?
virility and things like that.
So-
Absolutely.
If the pilgrimage is making its way towards a symbol of masculinity, and then the woman is having defloweration blood down her, isn't that going towards the man in the
Could
marriage?
be. Because defloweration blood could represent an impending marriage. Okay, one that's about to come up. Not that it's already happened, that it could represent one about to come up. So it's a good theory. I like what you're going with. Okay? So, anywhere where we see those horns, we say it's the horns of consecration. Consecration means to make something holy. Okay? So this is the altar. This is the close-up of it. Okay? So,
Maybe.
on the eastern wall of the Adyton, there is a painted shrine or altar. This structure is topped with horns of consecration, which according to Nano Marinatos and Christophe Dumas, appear to be dripping blood. Okay? Paul Rehek disputes this and instead claims that it depicts ashlar masonry and thus represents a palace. Okay, we've got two different interpretations here. In his argument, he also follows Gazelli's hypothesis that the blood streaked on horns is actually garlands of saffron stigmas, a more appropriate interpretation given the setting. as saffron would stylistically and thematically link the paintings. Okay? We have two very different interpretations.
There's even saffron on it.
Yeah. So some people think, and you can see how they got to the interpretation. They go, looks like blood. Okay? And keep in mind, Marinatos, his daughter and the father, are probably one of the highest regarded in regards to like their theories on anything in Thera. Yeah. Okay.
So does that mean Thera smelled nice? Smell like saffron?
So I'm sure there would have been a rather pleasant smell wherever you went. Okay.
No one had to.
Yeah. So they thought it might represent blood. Okay. It's not a completely insane proposition. We know that altars like this would have been used in ancient times to kill beasts. Okay, sacrificial offerings have blood on them. Makes sense. Rahek, however, is going, no. Because it's ashlar masonry, okay, we think it's a mansion, and that this is actually just saffron. Okay?
What if it's just both theories?
Could be both.
So mix
Saffron garlands, dipped in blood.
Saffron.
Exactly.
The
It
bloody
makes
saffron. Okay?
Same power.
Link it
Yeah.
back to the periods.
Now, the last one that we've got is the mistress of animals.
Pretty. So
Okay.
the drawing doesn't do it justice. This is pretty.
Yes.
Nipple.
Nipple. Okay, yes. So, we have here
Baboon.
a woman. Okay, I know it's a bit hard to see at the moment, but she is bare-chested. Okay. We have a monkey,
Baboon.
and we have a woman seated, bare-chested again. Okay, with wings coming out of her back, which are attached to an actual animal behind her, which is of course the griffin.
So,
Yes.
is it likely that the Therians got their art style from the Egyptians? Because it's got a very similar flat-like style. Or did the Egyptians get
I would say that the Egyptians had their own art style. One of the articles I was reading a couple of days ago is compared to Egyptian art styles, Theran art style is quite lively compared to Egyptian one, which tends to be rather static. Okay, so I would say they're quite distinct art styles. Okay?
Did you say that they're flat basically?
No, not just that. Just certain like
There,
structures.
there are similar structures, but I would say they're different enough to be called different.
What's the woman on the left doing?
What do you think she's doing?
She's pouring something. Is it saffron?
She could be, if we look at that, that's a basket case. She could be pouring saffron into the basket case and offering to the person above. Okay?
Was it like was this a significance to using a monkey, or did they just use it to?
There's a lot of actual questions about that, and I'll be honest, I couldn't figure it out last night. Girls, we will stop there, okay?
Not like a barrel.